and gentlemen, let's have a great show.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Sorry for the potentially shitty audio quality, but I didn't really make an intro this week because I lost track of time. But my buddy Zach Metal, he sent me an audio file, and he just said, to listen to it in my car. So I figured, this will probably be a good enough intro, I would assume. So yeah, we're gonna listen to it and see what he has to say.
Well, howdy, buddy. I know we haven't talked in a while, but I hope you're doing well. I've been real busy with my business. It's been unbelievable, if you can believe it. I've got people calling me in the middle of the night every night. Like, it's insane. Anyway, I just wanted to show you a song that I've been working on recently, if you got a minute. It's kind of important, so, just give it a shot. Maybe while you're driving around in your car or something. Alright, here we go. 2, 3, 4. Everybody gather around and listen to my country sound as I tell you about the world today. The times we live in sure are rough, and when you think you've had enough, just listen to my voice as I say. When you are young, you're taught to talk, you learn to smile and how to walk. And if you fall or lose your way, you just get back up, that's what they'll say. What they don't tell you is the world is shit, and they're responsible for most of it. So listen to me now, give up. You might think that I misspoke or that this song is one big joke, but trust me, you will want this in your head. On average, during your life, you spend 6 months at traffic lights. So what's the point of getting out of bed? You accidentally drop your plastic cup, so you lean on down to pick it up. You try to grab it, but it slips away. Well, there goes the entire day. Or how about when your GPS gets everything wrong and interrupts the best part of the song? Can we just agree that one of the absolute worst feelings in the entire fucking world is when you are starving? And I mean like sweating from your eyebrows starving. And you get this nice hot dog or hamburger, and you go to put ketchup and mustard on it. Oh boy. But then you just get this like piss water all over your food. Like, I might as well just starve at that point because my appetite is ruined for an entire week. Or like, when you're wearing a long sleeve shirt and you go to wash your hands and you forget to roll up the sleeves, so you try very carefully to get every part of your hand wet without getting it on the cuffs, but it happens anyways, and then you're just standing there like, why did I even try? Of course this is gonna happen. Huh? Oh, yeah, the song, sorry. Give up.
Okay, this doesn't sound important at all. Alright, screw this, I'm turning this off.
Listen close, my young and troubled friend. Please don't stop this song or we'll be brought to our end. Okay, I think most people would have stopped listening by now. I need to tell you something. There's this guy named Harvey Spleen I've been hearing about, and from what I hear, he's been causing a ruckus lately. I've been hearing shit about these arm guard things people have been buying, and after they get them, they're never heard from again.
At the next traffic light, turn left.
What? Stop. In fact, a lot of people have been going missing recently, and murder rate is on the rise. Something's not right here, buddy. Do not tell anyone about this. Even disguising this as a song is taking a risk. Wait, what?
Just
what? No.
I'll talk to you soon.
Pause. Fuck. Great, and now I don't have time to make another intro, so fantastic. Sorry, everyone. Harvey. That's a character I made. Something's gotta be wrong with this phone, stupid fucking piece of shit.
Welcome, everybody. Wow. Improv intro by El Dorino.
Improv.
Well, I mean, that's what you're portraying it as. So
Yep.
that's what I was advertising it as.
Very creative.
Absolutely.
In your car.
Yeah, were you in your
You
car?
record that in your car.
Yeah, my lines are in my car. Yes, I did that today.
I don't think you can fake those
Perfect.
authentic sounds.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say it had to be as meta as humanly possible.
Were you actually
yeah.
driving, or did you add the road noise? Oh my God.
I was on my way to the laundromat and I recorded those.
Oh my god.
It sounded extremely real. I'm like, I don't think you can really get something that sounds that normal.
Cordray does not condone recording and driving. I'm not sure.
I mean, as long as you're not holding the phone, we really don't care. But
Is it
yeah,
on a Bluetooth or
Try
something
safe.
like?
yeah, you'd figure. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Cold Read the podcast for voice actors by voice actors. Thank you for those that are here live. Thank you for those that are here watching on YouTube. Thanks for those that are listening anywhere you get your podcast. It should be available 24 hours after we end our stream now, thanks to Twitch TOS. Our guest today is going to be Crown Stag, but before we get to Crown Stag, I want to hear how the other co-hosts are doing. So let's start on the other side of the world. Renara, how was your week?
It's, as I said last week, the journey ahead is going to be rocky. It has been. There has been ups. There have been downs. I am doing my best, I think, in that regard. Keeping a smile on my face as you do. But I will be honest, I'm not nearly out of the woods at the minute, but I'm on the good end that way, going up. On the other side of things, I have managed to finally get chapter 4 out after, like months.
I saw
Not
this
finishing that.
morning, I think, right?
Yes.
Well, yeah, for me. But.
Oh my god. To put it, I just wanted to say, like, it took that long because trying to source different arrow volleys and just all the sound effects for just that 2 minutes of battle was almost I literally like slapped my keyboard at one point because I was like, this, I can't find it. What is this? It took so long, but I'm so glad I'm there. It's finished. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, because if you use the same one over and over again, it would just sound horrible.
You'd start to notice it, and I did have to use some repeatedly for certain parts, but I was determined to find the correct sound for each thing, and I was not going to stop. So it takes time. It takes time. Yes. I have another thing which I'm hoping I will be able to put out tomorrow or the day after that, which I will leave as a mystery.
Ooh, chapter 5 already. Very cool.
No. If I could work that fast, we would be at the end of the book right now. No. So that'll be happening. I'm kind of still. I auditioned for Celestial's thing, and I'm in that thing of, because the end of casting was 2 days ago. I'm kind of like sitting and kind of going.
Well, I can tell you that I saw a tweet that casting has gone out, so emails have been sent. So.
Oh, okay.
And it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people put in for that one. I wouldn't feel too bad about it.
It was one of those ones where I was like, you have one of those ones where it's like, oh, I really would like to. That would be really, really fun. But it is what it is.
Exactly.
It is what it is. On with the show. There's always more. But other than that, I think that sums up the week pretty nicely.
Well, very good.
We'll end it there.
Thank you for being here, as always, and glad that you're hearing that you're on the mend. All right, Misty, how are you doing? I saw a couple of Twitch games from you. I saw that you've been playing.
Yes, so I recently got Evil Dead because, so fun story, goes into everything. This month has just been really crazy on my finances because my rent is going to be increased beginning at the end of this month. And I had to renew renter's insurance, some other stuff. So it's just a lot of so it's been bad. Yeah. And I've been stressing, but one of my friends, that he bought it and he was like, I'm going to get it for you because I really want to play. And I was like, I'll promise I'll get it as soon as possible. I'm just reeling from a lot of things right now. And he got it for me. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Yes. So we've been playing and it's been really, really fun. I love it. And apart from that, thankfully, right as I'm dealing with all these problems with my finances, I did get another client on Fiverr that's hopefully going to be a regular thing for like YouTube videos and
Awesome.
stuff, which is going to help a lot. So
Very good.
yes. And last big thing, since I'm part of closing, I'm a membership and closing credits, which is like the school or the lessons part of Casting Call Club. For the members, they're doing a thing where you can audition to potentially be heard by an agent in June. So I submitted that yesterday, and
good luck to you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Well, okay.
You got this.
I would die.
You got this. Stop worrying about it, because literally there's nothing else you can do except wait. So it's completely out of your control, and there's absolutely no reason to continue to worry about it. But best of luck to you. If there's a voting mechanic or anything, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to try to help you out.
There is, and they're going to choose 12 people. There's going to be a lot of people submitting, but I'm confident I'm happy with what I did. So,
Cool.
Yay.
Excellent. All right. Well, maybe when you're all done with it and everything like resolves itself, we'd love to hear it, I'm sure. So,
Yes.
hint,
Thank
hint.
you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here, Missy. Appreciate it. El Dorino. Other than forgetting, because the week got away from you, and trust me, I think at this point, all of us here have run into this issue because it's just our lives have been insane. How has the rest of your week been?
So listen, I did forget, yes, until Friday, and then I was like, I should probably come up with something, and then I didn't. And then Saturday came around, and I was having problems thinking of something creative or inventive. And then I don't know, I just sat there and I was like, what's something I haven't done before? I haven't written a song in less than 24 hours. So that's what I did.
Nice.
And yeah, that's what it turned into. And somehow I was able to loop it back around to be part of what I was originally trying to do, which is continue to blue ball everybody with a teaser for my next series.
Nice.
So, which is coming along swimmingly, and yeah, that's oof.
Believe that.
Oof.
Wow, 2 teasers and 1 intro. That's crazy. 3 technically, because we're waiting for Misty's resolution now. So, my goodness, I don't have one. But my week of course has been. It's for the most part, it's been busy. Work is interesting. It's ramping up. Things are changing. I'm sure. Obviously, not going to go too much into it. I did continue my auditioning trend, so that has been going on. I actually submitted a couple. Well, I'm sorry. You were not all set?
No, it wasn't done.
Oh, I thought that was it.
No,
Well,
okay.
shit. Here, I'll swing it back to Dorino. I didn't mean to cockblock you.
Super quick. I also auditioned. I got a response on both of them. Both of them said you did really, really well, but we went with somebody else. We'll keep you in mind for a future project. I was like, cool, that's awesome. And also, I'm doing my best to keep my explosion on TikTok going.
Yes.
And I uploaded a new video, and it's going well. The end.
The 2 places that you auditioned and you did well, are these voices.com stuff, or is this just something else? No, okay.
This is
Gotcha,
from
gotcha.
the Voice Acting Club Discord. Small projects. I just was like, screw it, I'll throw my hat in the ring, and yeah. And they both said, yeah, you did really well. Very creative, very entertaining, but we went with somebody else. So,
But at least you broke the ice, because you hadn't auditioned in a while either, right? Okay.
correct.
Excellent. Although, by the way, if anybody ever needs the Drifter in any of their productions or anything, Dorino doesn't mean Drifter.
It's the grifter, brother. Get
That's
it right.
Even better. Sorry. So, okay, now I'm going to continue on. My life is, it's been busy. It's been hectic. My kids are graduating from high school. Both of my kids are graduating from high school. Their stuff is this Wednesday. My youngest decided to accelerate a year, and congratulations to the both of them, my son and my daughter. Absolutely
Nice.
wish them the best and look forward to what comes out of that. Did a couple of voices.com stuff. Nothing really came out of it, but at least again, I'm trying to stay current. I'm trying to stay at it, even if I don't continue on with a membership, I want to make sure to at least flex as much as I can between now and then. And then I have a reading for a project at 2 p.m., which is in about an hour and 40 minutes. This is the original animated project of the Energies. It's being run by the Honeyham Productions. So I have a script to look over as soon as this is done, and hopefully I can come in prepared. So looking forward to that.
Good luck.
Thank you. Well, with
You'll do
that,
amazing.
yeah. With that, we're going to check in with Crown Stag. Crown Stag, because we always, with our guest, how has your week been, sir?
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, my week's been pretty busy. What have I done this week? I'm working. So I did a pitch this week for a client I worked with before, which is a mental health charity. So they're doing a lot of work with the NHS. So we've done a thing about Stress Bucket, if you're familiar with that. So this is all about supporting people who work in the NHS and who have been just kind of overwhelmed and shit on a wee bit over the last couple of years. So we're looking at Stress Bucket recordings, things about stigma around mental health, and we're now working on a thing around it's an open letter for suicide prevention, which kind of falls nicely into you guys last week, the things that Renara was talking about. So it's a 6-man cast that I'm actually sourcing to get picked up for this project. So we did that. I'm working on. I did an audition for a CBB show, which I don't know if you guys get CBBS in the States.
Well, we got Renara, but yeah.
You have me. I am their introduction to English TV.
So it's the BBC for kids, children's BBC. So it's a animated show for those guys. So I did a gig for that, and yeah, I've got my regular stuff that just sort of keeps me ticking over. I like to work on new projects as and when I can.
Wow, very, very nice. I mean, so for those, this is the second time that we've had you on, and thank you again for coming back. Quick recap on your voice acting journey. Give us the 2-minute way that you got to where you are. No pressure.
Yeah, if you remember the story from before, I got very drunk and ordered a microphone and forgot about it. So yeah, I did musical theatre as my degree. Graduated just when the global recession hit, and really couldn't secure any acting work. So yeah, did all the sales jobs, got drunk, ordered a microphone, and figured out in a very bad way how to actually do this job. But I've been banging along now for 11 years. I think we're pushing 12 years now.
Wow.
And it takes time to do that, especially as an independent. But yeah, now I get regular work done. I'm in a position now where I can throw work occasionally to other people as and when it comes up. And yeah, I've got my own voiceover business, which is a lovely place to be.
So I mean, we've had a couple of people that you do this full time. This is now your well, I'm not even going to say 9 to 5 because I'm sure you have to work late.
Yeah, it's I do sporadic hours, but I do this, and to factor into my ADHD, I do voiceover and I do lots of consultancy work for the neurodivergent community. So I help a lot of employers figure out how to support people with autism, Asperger's, which is a bit of an outdated term, dyslexia, dyspraxia, how to bring them into a business. So yeah, I consult on that. So when I'm not in the booth, so in my studio I have my booth, and about 2 feet away from that I can set up a separate laptop and do a bunch of emails and phone calls, and then jump in the booth and do some auditions. It's a busy day, but it's good.
I bet.
Note to self: show my students Crown Stags. Show my students who have ADHD. Look what they can do.
So
do you know what? It's really that thing. I mean, I mean, Bernard, you might know this. I got my dyslexia diagnosis at about 11, I think I was 12 years old, and I immediately overnight went from the higher classes and a lot of things immediately into the remedial classes overnight. They just essentially treated me like I was deficient as soon as I got that diagnosis, and then I rallied against that my whole life. So now as soon as I can get my hands into a project and do something, I just kind of do.
What I actively fight against for my students actually quite a lot is like whenever I'm like this. They can do more than what you're saying, if that makes sense, sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know.
So as soon as someone finds out that you're neurodivergent, if you say someone is autistic, it immediately conjures an image in some people's minds, and it's generally not what people look like or behave when they are autistic. The amount of people that say like, "Oh, you don't look autistic." Well, what am I supposed to look like?
Right.
It's nothing.
Exactly.
Am I supposed to like have a club foot and dragging around the place with an iPad? What am I doing? It's very odd. And again, when you challenge people, they're like, "Oh yeah, that was a dumb thing for me to say." But yeah. Anyway, that's been my week and my life so
Your
far.
journey so far, very, very nice.
Yeah.
I'm super curious, only because last time we had you on, we talked to you for like another 30 minutes after the interview, and I wish I would have recorded because there's a lot of good information on there. I'm curious, at what point in your 11-year journey did you say, "Woof, I made it. This is it"?
About 5 years in, was when I was making enough money that I could not. Rather, when I was making enough money that I didn't have to do a 9 to 5, was about 5 years in.
Wow.
And I always say to people, when you start out, set up a new bank account.
Yeah. Look at it and see how much, like, because I can remember from last time you said how like you set it aside, you put it in, and all that jazz. I don't know if you cut out.
I know, that's what that's kind of what I'm waiting for too. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering
Vamp
if you just
time.
accidentally cut out there for a second.
The suspense.
So in the meantime, while we're waiting for Neil to come back, Neil does have the YouTube channel Crown Stag Voiceover. I did link it in chat. I will make sure to put a link on it in our video description while we are.
Crown Stag, if you're still there, we can't hear you.
Check your
If you can
cables and
hear
see
us,
if you
we
muted.
can't hear you.
Oh no, I'm back.
There you are.
Sorry.
Welcome back. Yay!
Sorry. I was talking away. I was like, oh no. So sorry, where did you hear up to?
Oh,
Open a bank account.
Yeah, bank account.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So open a bank account for your new thing. Put all your voiceover money in there. See what you earn year 1. See if you duplicate it year 2 or do better. And if you duplicate that year 3, you're onto a winning formula, and then move on from there.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people go, they'll have a bumper year maybe in their first year, and then it completely tanks their second year, but they've already left their job. I always say just try and, as long as you're earning what you're earning now or better, duplicate it over 2 years and then go on.
Yeah, I know I have a particular figure saying if I was to make X amount of Z, amount of money, I would be able to do this just straight full time. So I'm just waiting out for my retirement, and then once I retire, then I can just go ahead and stick to it in here. So I think we all have a particular goal, we all have a particular dollar amount. So very, very cool, very cool. Before, I know Crown Stag, you want to talk about a couple of things, but I do want to check with the team. I know some of you have questions, and one in particular has quite a few. Yeah,
many questions, but they are all exceedingly random and have no way to tie into each other at all.
Yay!
Good, I'm used to that.
Okay. Should I just, shall I just, are we going to, am I going to throw the proverbial hat, or are we going to go over what Crown Stag wants to speak about first?
No, it's I had a couple of things that came up from your episode last week that I thought was quite interesting, so I just thought, I'll throw my 2 cents in for that, but we'll do that at the end. You throw your questions at me, and hopefully I can come up with a coherent answer.
Yeah.
It's fine. So, okay, breathe. Calm, we're good. So in regards to castings, and we're talking about diversity and all these things like we were just earlier, I know and I think the rest of the team have also, we spoke about this, I've been seeing a lot of casting calls that are centered around a specific race or gender expression, and has been basically the casting director has asked only people who identify as this can audition for this. How far would you say you agree or disagree with these types of listings? Have you yourself come across these types of things? And what?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like, how far would you all disagree with this sort of casting?
I agree with it as far as it depends on what the project itself is aiming to do. So if, for example, you're looking for someone with an Afro-Caribbean background because it's they're talking something specifically to maybe a marginalized community and they're looking for someone who can talk to that, fine. I have no problem with that at all. But as I think you guys alluded last week, we are voice actors. We do voices, we do characters, etc. And provided you can provide a convincing tone, I don't mind voicing for it, because when you're doing that, I'm not sending headshots. I'm not sending background. You know, there's a guy that I work with who is from an Afro-Caribbean background, and I've only ever spoke to him on the phone. To hear him on the phone, you would think that he was a very elderly white dude who, you know, went to Oxbridge. He just doesn't have that tone. Yeah. And I say that because he has said that exact sentence. I am, you know, I'm repeating it verbatim, because he says people hear me on the phone and they don't realize that I have an Afro-Caribbean background. Yeah. And I said, oh, okay, fine. But he's absolutely right, because the image of him in my head was this, well, Zamudi-looking character with a, you know, white beard and, or, you know, elderly, well, not elderly, but, you know, older white dude.
It's fine.
It's sorry. You know, an older white dude with a, you know, with a beard. That's the image that I conjured in my head from his voice. And ultimately, that is your job as a voice actor, to conjure an image of a person, because they're only hearing your voice. If you're on screen, if you have to show a picture, fine. Play that by ear. But yeah, you are talented voice actors. Go for it. Don't talk yourself out of work. I say that to people all the time. Don't ever talk yourself out of work.
Yeah. Because I know that there have been times where I've thrown my demo out and I've not even looked, and they've just asked for a certain voice, and then they come back to me saying, oh, but the character we are trying to cast is X, Y, and Z, or is black, or is non-binary, or whatever, and that's the only reason they've given me, if that makes sense. So
I would always challenge that. So say they came back to you and you had a phone call, and you say, okay, you tell me what someone who's Asian sounds like. You tell me that voice. Because if you're going for a stereotype, if you're going for a character, well, fine, I'll create that. If you're just going for someone's voice who's from that particular background, as I say, for a lived experience, depending on what that project is, grand, that's absolutely fine. But if you can tell me, well, they sound like this, great, I'll do that voice.
Because there was another one where it was like non-binary, and a lot of my friends who are also in sort of that area of expertise have kind of go, well, what does non-binary sound like? What does that 100%. Sound?
Yeah. And, but like I said, you don't look autistic. You know,
yes,
it's exactly that.
I think Misty's trying to say a point.
Go for it. Sorry.
I think it's mainly because, like, normally when it's a big project, they do like request headshots at the end, so like they can like put like, this is our cast, and so they actually want, I think to them, like they actually want those people to say, I am non-binary, I'm voicing this character, I am this race or this gender. That's the thing. But also, since you mentioned someone that had a specific background but didn't sound like to your idea, that's something that I've thought about, because it's like they're requesting a character from this specific background, but if you submit, you know you're from there, but they're like, this doesn't sound like what I'm thinking at all. And it's like, but it's like, but I'm from there. I may not sound exactly like what you're saying, what you're thinking of, because I mean, I see a lot of them where it's like Hispanic voice actors with like a Latin accent. It's like, but what does that sound like to you? It doesn't sound, not everyone sounds the same at all when they speak English.
I will point you to Mr. Gabriel Iglesias's stand-up when they say add a little spice to it.
Yes. Oh my God, I remember.
My partner actually sent me the video where he talked about when he was cast for Space Jam: A New Legacy, and it was like, can you actually sound like Speedy Gonzalez? And he was like, oh, he went really hammed up the accent hard for it. But they just sort of cast him because it was like, I was like, oh, you just want a Mexican guy for this, but I can actually give you this acting. I can actually do this too. It's important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Speedy Gonzalez is about as stereotypical, Mexican as you can get too. So I as a Hispanic, as a Mexican specifically, I would not try to do that accent. Trust me. Very cool. I mean, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I've talked about this before. It's just we're voice actors. It doesn't. Yeah. If I could make myself like, let's talk about what's his name, Corpse Husband or something to that effect. He's a famous YouTuber.
Corpse Husband.
Yeah, very very deep voice. Who knows what he looks like? Nobody knows what he looks like. Really, he could try out for pretty much anything at this point.
Yeah.
But he's got that very particular voice. What do you think he looks like in his head? That it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I guess
so I watch a lot of anime because I am that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I have just last year I finished Seven Deadly Sins. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's a very good anime, but it's set in essentially an Arthurian Britain. It doesn't say that specifically, but that's where it is. Every single person is American. And it's that thing. It's set in Britain. Everyone's got an American accent, and it's like, okay, so that's where your cast was when you got it. But if you're going to set something in England or in Scotland or whatever, just hire someone who's there or someone who can do a convincing accent. I'm watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure at the minute, and I think it's Matt Mercer. I think he's definitely. I can't remember if it's him that did this voice, but season 1 again was set in England, and Dick Van Dyke does a better English accent. I mean, it is terrible.
Oh no,
they were terrible, but a great show. I really liked it. I'm on season 3, but you're listening to it going, oh no, that's
when you think I can do it better, it's like, yikes! Oh god!
Yeah.
It's the car crash you can't take your eyes away from. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, it was all the accents. Everyone in there to begin with is set in like Victorian England, and they've all got these really American-ish English accents. It's terrible, but also hilarious and bizarre. Hence the show, so they can get away with that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't watched that, if you want to watch something that is bizarre, watch it. It's insane.
But the English are bad guys, like Crown Stag. Don't you realise that we are the bad guys apparently?
They're the heroes in this one. They are the heroes, but yeah, it's straight from the Dick Van Dyke School of English accents.
Oh,
nice.
No.
It's famously bad. I get that.
Yeah.
I shall lead into my awkwardly timed question 2, which has nothing to do with what we've just talked about. So another one. We talked about this a while ago, and I know Zamudi actually showed a picture of one of these text-to-speech things that keep popping up left, right, and center. One, do you agree with the premise of the whole thing, or disagree, and have you yourself been approached or commissioned to do one yourself? Because I feel you would.
I have been approached. I probably get approached at least once a month, and I always politely decline.
Nice.
We're the best one in the world. No, I am not a fan of them. I can usually hear them within 2 seconds that it's a fake voice. I actually worked with a YouTube channel which I had to take about a month off because I had a bereavement, and they cast a new guy, and I went, oh. Are you using one of these AI voices? And they went, no, that's actually a real dude. And I was like, oh, okay. But she's like, I know exactly what you mean. And that's the thing. They don't have the right intonations, I think, yet. Anyway, it's an evolving technology. I don't think it's the biggest threat that people think it is.
Okay.
Because some of the agencies that I work with who have tried to use it, because if you hire me, you're going to pay several hundred, if not thousands of pounds, depends on what the project is. Whereas you can buy a license on that for £30.
Yeah.
But it's like being a developer in any other language. You have to know how to use that specific tool, and they've all told me the amount of time it takes to get it right, I may as well have just hired someone else, like an actual voice actor, to do it. So it might get easier, it might get better down the line, But at the minute, I'm not threatened by it. I do get calls about it quite often. They're usually from these people on either Fiverr or Upwork or something that says, "Hey, we just like you to have a conversation for 15 minutes, and we're going to pay you $30 for it." It's like, "Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks
Yeah.
very much." Off you pop. But yeah, I think it will be a bit of a fad.
Okay.
Some jobs will absolutely be lost to it. That's just the way it goes because it's automation. But until it's flawless, seamless, and easy and cheap, it's easier to just hire one of us because they can get multiple takes in 2 minutes, multiple styles, multiple levels, whatever they need. Change it up. They can't do that with that's a whole afternoon, if not a day, of one person trying to be like, oh well, I'm done the project. We've changed that. Okay, well, this is going to take me 8 more hours to rekey it because you change your mind. Whereas with us, that takes another 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's not the threat that a lot of people make it out to be. But if YouTube is listening to this, could you stop advertising it on my channel?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not the only one.
Oh my god, no.
Everywhere I go to,
Worst.
it's like
It really
Instagram.
makes me laugh.
Yeah, if I go to Instagram, if I go to Facebook, every other one is like, hey, why pay a real voice actor? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, really, dude? I mean, come on.
I know.
Oh man.
Thankfully, I haven't come across that yet.
It pops up on my YouTube. So I've got my paid for YouTube account. I've got my Crown Stag account, and the Crown Stag one oddly does get adverts on it. And sometimes if I play one of my own videos just to check it, I'll get an AI voice advert that comes up on the non-skippable bit before mine plays. I'm like, and it's always the same advert, and I'm like, really? I think it's not Textile. Oh, it's something like that, but it's just it's the same ad, and I'm like, am I being trolled? Is this YouTube trolling me right now? What's going on?
It's awful.
I'm looking through to see if one pops up. Now, before you move on too much, let me add my 2 cents on this particular. Only because recently I ran into a TikTok, because I'm, very much on the streamer side, very much on the voice actor side of TikTok. Somebody was advertising like one of those streamer tips where you can train an AI voice to sound like you for you to use on your own channel for free. The drawback is in the fine print, because I saw it in the comments, they get to use your voice for their stuff.
Yeah.
Nope.
So that happened to I don't know if you follow Booth Junkies. That happened to Mike. He had his he signed up, let them use his voice, but then not realizing it was being used. And I think he recorded a whole video, didn't say a word on it, and it was his voice, and he just basically typed in everything he wanted to say, and it spoke. And he just stood there sort of looking really quite irritated. And it basically said, this is crap. I can't believe this is happening. But yeah, it does happen. You need to watch that fine print.
Always read the fine print, especially when it comes to free stuff, because right now everybody wants to capitalize on it. The other thing I found is like Johnson Voices, who's a very famous voice actor on TikTok. He does a lot of food critic stuff on it too. His voice is being used in advertisements because they're just grabbing his TikTok audio and putting the advertisement right on top. And because it's a duet, it's allowed. So you have to be really careful on what you put out there right now.
Yeah.
I shall open the floor to everyone else. If anyone else has any questions.
Well, I see Dorino just got distracted. Misty, did you bring any questions to the class today? Not to put you on the spot.
No, I did. He was like, I'm not sure who would be the best person to really ask about this in particular, but I mean, I'm just gonna try.
Sure.
Because I'm not sure, like, if you focus your searches for work that's offered within England, like specifically looking for actors with an accent, or do you also venture out into just normal roles that doesn't really specify an accent? Because I have my partner's interested in going into voice acting, and is concerned English is a second language, so he's concerned whether he would need to sort of filter himself into roles that look for a specific thing, or if anyone really has found success sort of just going for anything and seeing if it sticks.
So I wouldn't say going for anything. If you're fluent in a language, feel free to go for it, especially if it doesn't specify what the accent is. That's great. One of the things that I always try to ignore is I see them all on the auditions I do. They'll say English British. Or English neutral, and I'm like, what's a neutral accent? And I know what they want, but the reality is that is within like a 2 square mile area of the southeast.
Yes.
That negates the entire, anything north of Northampton, Watford, really, the Watford Gap, as it were. If you guys may not know this, but it's the north in England is, if you drew it on a map, would be like the bottom quarter. Is the south, and then everything north of that bottom quarter is considered the north. The north is about 10 times the size of the south, which is very, very odd. But I always rally against that sort of stuff. So I do audition for those things. If they ask for a specific accent I can't do, like a Spanish accent, for example, I can give my best impression, but let's be honest, it's probably not the best because I don't speak to a lot of Spanish people unless I'm in Mexico or in Spain. So I'd say with your partner, if he's English is good enough that he's fluent, go for it. But there are specific pay-to-play websites that he can go to that do help with that sort of stuff. They look for specific voices. You might not find that as much on Voices or Voice 123 because that's a very North American market. But there are one. I'm assuming. Well, let's not assume. What is his background?
He's Salvadorian, so it's his English is very, very good. It's just like it's sort of like an indistinguishable accent. It's like it's just you can tell English is a second language, but it doesn't really sound like he's from somewhere in particular.
Okay, so I mean, I would be jumping on places like VOICEOVER, VO Planet, perhaps. What's another good one? That's voice booking. I think there's Flyover Voices as well. They do a lot of international accents. Bidalgo, that does a lot of international accents as well. So look outside of the marketplaces that are atypical to North America, and that might help. But ultimately, I always say go direct. Wherever you can, find a way to go direct to a casting agency, marketing or advertising agency, and just offer that service rather than audition through the big platforms because there's a lot more competition.
Yeah, I think I know like an agency would sort of know more or less where they would want to place that kind of voice too. Like, it's definitely
and also,
good.
if he's from El Salvador or has that accent, then target that marketplace. I don't live in Scotland, but I do a lot of work in Scotland. I don't live in America, and I do a load of work in America. I just reach out to all the markets I can, to anyone I think might have a remote opportunity to use me. And what happens fairly often is you'll approach, nothing will come out of it, and randomly a year later you get an email and they'll say, we kept your details, we've now got a project.
Wow.
I really appreciate it. Seriously.
That's good. Hopefully that helps. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, you're just a fountain of information when it comes to all this stuff, especially all of us that are still
interest.
Yeah.
you get obsessive with this stuff sometimes.
That's very good. Very cool. Renara, how you doing over there? You got another one for us?
I'm fine. I've got like 7, but I don't want to.
I
came
Dorino did put
prepared.
his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. What's that?
Go ahead.
Dorino did put his hand up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Please.
Oh,
Sorry,
please.
I wanted to jump in before we hit our Ren Rambles section. So my question is pertaining to something that I'm kind of struggling with right now, in that it's very difficult for me to work a 9-to-5 job, come home, and still have the motivation to be creative, whether that be voice acting, writing, producing, music production, whatever I feel like doing. So my question is, how do you personally balance the 9-to-5 job and starting a new business? Or like, what advice would you have for those who do want to transition on the 9-to-5 into a small startup and then raise that from the ground up?
So there's no pleasant answer to this. I wish I could just say, do this and it'll be easy. It's a lot of graft. It's a lot of hard work. I was regularly doing 12 to 14 hour days on top of everything else I was doing. But that's because my view is always pipeline. What are the things I need to do to get out there? So, for example, so your forte is character work. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd say if you're doing character work, are you one of those people that a character occurs to you or an idea occurs to you and you're like, oh, I'll do that later, I'll write it down or whatever it is?
It's usually well, no, I guess it's more like spur of the moment thing. Like
Okay.
if I find the motivation or I have an idea, I have to do it right that moment.
Right.
Otherwise, I fear that I won't have the motivation to do it later on.
Yeah, and that's the bit that I was hoping you would say. So do those bits. So either write down your idea, record a voice note, whatever it is, pipeline your activity, right?
Mhm.
And then the nice thing that you can do to yourself is not be so hard on yourself. There's an expectation that if I'm not doing this, if I'm not doing all the auditions, I'm not going to be successful. That's just not the case, right? You need to have your repertoire and your bankable elements that if a client says, can you send me a sample of X, you send it out. If you've got a great character, then you can do that and you can build it. So even if you do an afternoon once a week where you're doing all your auditions, you've got everything ready. That I'm not sitting down to start. I've already started because I've done bits all week. Now I'm producing. Now I'm sending the stuff out within that time frame. And what I always say to people, and listening to you guys, where you're not doing auditions and you're really beating yourself up about that. Try not to do that. Even I don't do as many auditions as perhaps I would like, but I do get busy with it. And you are also busy doing all the things that you're doing. So as long as you're doing something, that's enough. And it's a nice way to look at it in terms of I've done more today than I did yesterday. Fantastic. I've achieved more this week than I did last week. Fantastic. Even if that is, I contacted 3 marketing agencies and they said they keep me on file. That's a win. Take it, sure. Right? If you go months without doing anything, fine. Give yourself a kick in the backside. But as long as you're doing something, do it. And that pipeline will start to accumulate. So, I'll do auditions, I'll do voice and go, oh, that was really good. I'm going to add that to my repertoire. I'm going to add that to my website. And when I send stuff out, I can just reference people to my website. And that's one of the best things. Set yourself up a website. They're not, particularly expensive. If you haven't done it, set yourself that task of, do you know what? If I achieve nothing else this week, I'm going to set myself up a website because that is a repository of all your best bits. And you can just send a link of that to a marketing or a casting agent and say, look, here you are. Here's my stuff. At your leisure, have a listen. And it gives you that, I suppose, comfortability to know that if you're ever in doubt of what haven't I achieved, what have I not done, you go to your website and go, do you know what, damn, I have done buttloads. And when you start getting more work through or you get your agent or whatever, take the little wins. And that's something I feel that a lot of voice actors don't do, is celebrate the little wins. It's always about what didn't I do, or the kick in the teeth that I got, or the bad email or whatever. It's hard not to take that to heart. I'm exactly the same and I get really frustrated. But yeah, as long as you can take that win and you can add your bits bit by bit, piece by piece, one day you'll turn around and go, damn, I have achieved a hell of a lot, and now I'm ready to do this full time. Does that make sense? That was a minor ramble there.
No, I love it.
No, I was about to say, I feel like you may have watched this show before and seen me complain about the exact things you were talking about. No, I just personally, it's a little difficult. Like for the most part, my job isn't like super stressful on a day-to-day basis, and so I come home and I have the time certainly to be creative. It's just I strongly struggle with motivation, and I have been over the past couple of months or so. But as of recently, and I put this out on my Twitter, saying like as of lately I've been getting that motivation back. I want to create silly videos for TikTok. I want to create a new series to rival the big project that I put out last year. So Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't give myself enough credit for things that I have accomplished, and I'm glad that somebody else can like read me like a book and say exactly what I'm thinking. Because yeah, like I do kind of kick myself down a lot. Like even in this intro that I just put out, there's at least 5 things I'm like, I could have done that better. I could have done that differently, but I didn't.
Yeah, and you will always be your worst critic. I'm exactly the same. But from me to you, listening to that, that was not only funny, it was really good. That was a flawless accent. You're singing at his own point, like like that was a professional quality standard production that you did all on your own. You could take that to the bank. That was
Well,
genuinely, I was honestly impressed by that. Really, really impressed.
thank you.
And as much as my opinion matters, which it doesn't, just on you are much better at this than you probably give your self credit for, and you probably all are. And me saying that is not going to change your mindset overnight. But if you reflect on where you were today versus where you were a year ago or 2 years ago, what you know now, and if someone came to you today and said, "I know nothing, could you just help me get started?" I bet you could tell them 10 things. Like that matters. That means something.
I will say definitely the first thing would be watch your podcast, but that's just me.
I was about to say I'm saving this episode as part of my resume so that I can quote you in my testimonial. You do a lot better than you think you do. Quote Crown Stag.
The views and opinions of Crown Stag voiceover, no.
Yeah.
Does not reflect the voice acting community as a whole, though.
Correct.
All right, Ren, go ahead.
No, I feel we should give some time for Crown Stag to be able to cover what he
Absolutely.
would like to.
If we haven't already touched on
Go
it.
with that. I will keep the rest of mine for the next time he's on. It's fine.
Well, we've covered a couple bits. The thing that you were talking about last week that I thought I've got something to say on this particular thing, and it was the working from home element is coming back. Now, I can only speak to my experience and perhaps the UK market. Headline, don't worry about it. If you've got I'm in a position where I have a voiceover booth. That matters, right? That is a key aspect of this. If you are just recording stuff on your phone, then you might need to get back into the studio. But the big thing with the studio change, it was a mercurial shift essentially when COVID hit, where nearly every audition I had must have your own home studio, must have home recording, must have this. I don't think I've been asked even lately to go into a studio. And I've done work with the BBC. I did work with a BBC thing 3 weeks ago. I did a Coca-Cola thing 2 weeks ago. That wasn't even a factor. They didn't even say, "Oh, what studio can you get to?" And there's a couple of factors around that. I've got a quality product and I can record, edit, and do all my bits here. That is something that people need to make sure that they have in their repertoire, that you can record, edit, and produce quality audio and replicate it. But studios cost a hell of a lot of money, and you're not the one that's always picking up that tab.
Yeah.
And where clients can save money, they will opt to do that. If the BBC needs to hire out a studio that I'm close to, they might be spending anywhere between £600 and £1,000 for an hour, plus my fee. Wow. If they want me to go into London, well, they're going to pay for my train. They might pay for my hotel. Like, I'm not going to absorb that cost. And you shouldn't be expected to do that either. Like, you don't pay your boss for you to go to work to get paid.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
Did not think about it that way.
So, Renard, you look like you're in a fairly good, well-treated space yourself.
I'm in my cube. Yeah.
Yeah. So, everybody looks like they've got a decent enough setup that they can record. Misty, you're doing a lot of work on Fiverr. I don't think anyone's complained.
Yeah.
In my
You got
closet.
your
I'm
closet,
in my
yeah.
closet now.
Right,
Yeah,
but that's what I
mine.
mean. Provided you can produce that quality audio, it depends on what the client's going for. Now, they might ask you for test reads to check your levels, to make sure that you haven't got echo, to make sure you haven't got whatever. And that's the differentiator. If you have got a space that works, that client's happy with, don't worry about it. If you haven't, then fine. That might be a concern, but wait until the client asks for it. Don't stress yourself out about a problem that hasn't arisen yet. Now, that might be different in the States, but I get hired from guys in the States all the time. They're not going to fly me to LA or New York or Colorado or whatever to do it. If anybody wants to do that, I am available for a flight. But what's the point?
Free trip. You're going to
no
take
point.
that.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a bad situation for studios to be in. And that is the rub. Studios made their money doing this. And it's one of the things I've always said with people about getting their professional demo done. Because one of the very good things about getting a professional demo done is the quality of your audio is always going to be on point. And a highlight quality of the audio, not quality of your performance, not quality of what you're doing, the quality of the audio. Now, you've got that amazing thing. Can you replicate it? No, not without going back to that exact studio, paying for the studio time on your own money to do it. So I'm always a great proponent of spend your money wisely and get a booth when you can, or a room treated as best you can, so that you can replicate your audio quality time and time again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on that particular bit then.
That's good. So would you say it would be a good, like, because I can only speak for myself, but I feel some of us in here might feel like if someone wanted and approached us and said they want us to go into the studio, but they don't make any mention of paying for the cost or anything like that, would you say it's not an overstretch to ask them to do that? Or like, how would you broach that? Because I know myself, I would feel kind of awkward, but I know where I live. If they want me in a studio, they're going to have to pay for me to go there, if that makes sense. Because if they want me in London, or if they want me somewhere like Bristol or Manchester, I don't have the funds myself to pay for that travel. So how would you broach that with a client?
Similar to any conversation you have around what's your budget. If they want me in the studio, just say, okay, can I recoup travel costs? And it's always recoup. They'll tend to ask you to pay for it yourself. But again, if you're going down there for a £300 gig and it's £150 for you to get there and back, well, is it worth your time? The exposure, you can't see me, air quotes, exposure argument or sell. I've never had anyone say, "Oh, I heard you on this exposure, and I'd like to hire you." It doesn't come up like that. If you're going down and you're going to meet studio heads and casting directors, fantastic. But what happens by and large when you work with, when you go into a studio, is you sit down with an audio engineer who's been given an A4 piece of paper, and it's not the same audio engineer that you'll ever see again. And they might go, "Yeah, you did really well. Good working with you." They don't have that's it. They don't have the clout to say, "Oh, well, this is the person we need to hire next time." They're not that contact that you need to be making.
Yeah.
Although it still helps to be nice to them.
Product. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We're in the closing minutes of this. Any quick questions there, Renara? Oh, I see Dorino's got a hand up.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Since I was not around for the initial interview when you were on last season,
interrogation.
Oh, we're not that bad.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I'm very sad that I missed that, because I'm all about that, good cop, bad cop thing. My question to you is, what is your favorite pizza topping?
Damn it.
I am a fairly basic guy. I like cheese and anchovy. I like that salty, savoury.
Nice.
And spice. Like, give me some chilies or andouille or something like that. I like spicy, really, really spicy stuff, which is not good when you need to jump in the booth afterwards.
Oh, I can imagine.
No, not for smells. Sorry, just it closes your throat up a wee bit.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
You're still struggling. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
I have an entire shelf of hot sauce, so I know exactly
me too.
what you mean.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm the guy that goes out for a curry and asks for a fowl, and they're like, "Really?" Yeah. I get the hottest thing I can get. I like the burn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey.
Nothing wrong with a little cry over dinner. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't like to sweat when I eat. Okay.
That's one way to vent out your frustrations. Just like,
I know.
All right. All right. Real quick, crowd or Neil. I'm gonna say Neil. Sorry. Anything that you wanna bring up before we close out? Just on your side. I know. Thank you so much for bringing a topic.
Yeah, one bit of advice I have been giving more and more lately, and I think this might resonate with a couple of you guys as well, because I think you were talking about it's renewal season for a lot of things. If you're just starting out, like if this is day one, please, for the love of Jeebus, don't go on Voices or Voice 123, not because they're bad platforms by any regard, but for what you could get for your audio setup in replacement of that cost, spend it on your microphone, spend it on your booth. I know so many people that spend thousands on pay-to-play websites and they've got a £50 microphone. That's weighted completely in the wrong direction. Get the best microphone you can afford. Put money into your sound treatment, put money into your audio interfaces, put money into your DAW if you can. Those are where your priorities need to be, not on the big pay-to-play platforms, because there are more reasonably priced pay-to-play platforms, and the free platforms are the ones that you're going to make your money at first. So Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, I suppose to an extent. If you're in the UK, you could, if you've got training, you can get onto Spotlight, Backstage, Mandy. All of these things will cost you under 100 or maybe even 200 pounds to set them all up. Whereas voices.com minimum, what's that, $300, $600?
$3 to $5.
Insane. Yeah.
Painful.
So yeah, just be smart about where you spend your money. And then when you've got that money, when you've got that disposable money, by all means, go onto those larger platforms. There is a lot of opportunity there, absolutely. But there is the largest competition pool in the world
100%.
on there as well. So just please be conscious of that.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I know a lot of us are members of one or another, but we've always said don't immediately jump into this. Because you're not going to get anywhere. It's once you're ready, once you have a lot of experience behind you, for sure.
And one more thing I will say, actually,
sure.
Because I get this question a lot of, how do I get an agent, or when do I get an agent, or what do I do to get an agent? And the answer is always the same: approach them. It's this weird thing of people go, "Oh, I'm not ready." Well, you're telling you that. No one else is telling you that.
Right.
Or, well, they're not going to want me. You're telling you that. Now, I have got multiple agents all over the world. I get turned down from agents all the time because they don't have room on the books or they don't like my sound, whatever it is. But you're never going to get one if you don't approach one. And you need to do that. You need to take that ownership. Go to them with your sound, with your auditions, with your repertoire, and say, this is what I can do. Do you have a spot for me? And if they do, then that is a big step. Celebrate that win. If you get one, go ahead and get another one. Get multiple. But yeah, I always say, when people are worried about getting an agent, don't be. You are talking yourself out of that.
I know as most of us here probably would, the next question would be, well, how do we find one?
Yeah. That was literally what was going through my head.
Well, the easiest way to get to the big agencies is you would go to whatever region you're in. So in London, you've got like Soho Voices. You just, you Google voiceover agency and a whole bunch will come up. But the other thing that I'm a great proponent of doing is jump on LinkedIn and type in casting director or voiceover agent or something like that, and see what comes up and send them a message or find what company they work for. They don't have to be, the Jerry Maguires of the world. They don't have to be these international, I'll fight for you agents. They could just be a dude down in Bristol or a dude in Colorado who's, do you know what? I could get you some work. Okay, good. Go ahead and get me some work, please. You take your money, I take my money, and we work together. It happens.
So you're saying that Chris Pratt's agent doesn't have any room for us?
What, Jack? No, Jack's probably got some room for you. He'd be fine. I know him personally,
Wow.
If his name is Jack, that is a complete stab in the dark.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
I thought you were going to release this for like a split, like 3 seconds. Jesus Christ. Oh, okay.
All right. Team, we're already coming up on time, so we're gonna go ahead and start this up. Neil, it's always such a pleasure, and I'm sure this conversation is going to continue on a little bit afterwards, and I know it's super late for you. So thank you.
It's only 9, it's fine.
So thanks for coming on the show. Hopefully we get to have you again in the future. Keep up the good work on YouTube. I know I watched those videos. We've referenced them here a couple of times. Thank you so much for allowing us to do that, because it does give us a bigger perspective and another opinion and something for us to work off of. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Magmorta says thank you for coming today. We hope you enjoyed today's installment. That's to our people watching. Thank you again. Magmorta's always watching the people in chat. Thank you for hashtag drink water.
We have a groupie.
Yeah, well, no, we have our mod. So thank you to our mod. Intro next week is Misty. Ooh, so we look forward to hearing another installment of whatever Misty has in store for us. If you have any questions, anything that you want us to talk about, or if you have a piece of audio that you want us to listen to, callreadthepodcast@gmail.com. You're welcome to join our community. A Discord link is going to be in the description of this. Come on over. We are very active. We play video games. We do a lot of stuff on our Discord. If you have any questions, we have a good network that we can forward that question to and hopefully get everything answered. So, with my parting words, I will leave this now to Renara.
I feel like one day I need to give it to one of you guys to end this, because I do it every time now. So I'm gonna challenge the rest of you. Come up with something for next week, because I'm doing it next week.
I will say that I always have a sign off, so I'll leave it to other individuals.
Okay. Well, I will simply do small things. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. I have very tired brain at the minute. One step at a time. Keep plodding forward, but don't burn yourself out. 2, enjoy what you're doing, because if you're not enjoying yourself, then what is the point? And 3, I think I'm going to echo Crown Stag in that, and I'm going to tell myself off a little bit of, we are all our worst critics, we are all exceedingly hard on ourselves. So take it from a perfectionist and stop being mean to yourself. You got this. You can do this. Maybe me talking to myself in the future slightly, but we got this. We got this, guys. We got this. It's okay. We got this. It'll be fine.
Love it so much.
Pass for Nara.
I saw you waggling your finger up there, Dorino. You good?
I was just mimicking Renara.
Okay, for those of you watching, you got to see that. If not, come on, check us out on YouTube. All right, everybody, thank you so much. We'll catch you all next time. And remember, stream's going to end. Bye-bye.
Bye. Drink water.
Bye.
There goes the water.